Well, thank you everybody for joining us. This is the webinar about surviving the graph of doom. As by way of explanation, I should say where the graph of doom title comes from. It's a nickname picked up from a presentation at our launch event that went some way into predicting how energy prices would move over the coming months and years, and along the way it picked up the nickname graph of doom. So what we'll do today is we'll revisit that analysis of energy prices, but rather than leave it there, we'll continue the journey, and I'll hand over to my colleague Mary-Lena, who will talk about some of the practical measures that we can employ to actually reduce energy consumption. And finally, our delivery manager Lisa Ricketts will give you some explanation of how low case works and how best to engage with low case. So moving forward, energy prices are strictly broken down into two general areas: wholesale costs and non-commodity costs. So if looking at the wholesale cost of energy, that's the actual price of the energy itself, the actual price of the gas and actual price of the electricity itself, without anything added to it, without moving it from A to B, without any other additional element. That's the actual physical commodity. The non-commodity cost, which is quite surprisingly the larger element of the price you pay on your bill, is everything else. So it's the collection, it's the distribution, it's the movement, it's all of the mechanisms that get that commodity, that piece of gas or that piece of electricity to you, is the non-commodity cost. So by looking at each one of these sections in turn, we'll have an in-depth analysis as to whether we think those prices will be going up or down. Along the route, there are some things we'll look at as far as legislation is concerned, because there are a number of key pieces of legislation that will be changing that will affect these prices directly. So diving into non-commodity costs, so this is the bit of all of the other stuff and the greater part of the costs on your bill. This chart shows from left to right, we have small SMEs, so that's all of us, standard SME type business, moving to the right, getting larger and larger. These companies are more of your chains, and the larger users are high volume users of both gas and electricity. And the far to right columns are your industrial users, and the very right are your actually your very intensive energy users, such as steel manufacturers or even energy generators will be in this section over here. So this is our section, this is our home section, and this is the breakdown of the non-commodity costs for a typical SME. The colours here represent different sections of the non-commodity costs. The top one here being the climate change levy. You'll see that there's no red section for SMEs for the carbon reduction commitment, the CRC. That's because to qualify for CRC, you need to be quite a large energy user. You need to use 6,000 megawatts per annum, settled on half-hour meters to qualify for that. And to give you an indication, Thurrock Council as a whole council is out of scope for CRC. So it's the big energy users. So most SMEs, if you're an SME, then you will almost certainly be out of scope for CRC, but in scope for the black one, the next one down, CCL. And this is quite an important thing to bear in mind, because there have been some legislation changes. The other bits here, the green sections are generally and collectively known as the green levies. These are things that people will pay to enable green incentives. The FIT levy, for example, is an incentive paid to people installing solar panels. There is a feed-in tariff paid per kilowatt hour of generated electricity from solar panels, but that money has to come from somewhere, and it's collected from everybody else in the form of the FIT levy. And there are other green levies that do similar things. In general, the blue sections at the bottom here, these are to do with the actual movement, distribution, settlement of the commodities. So pipeline gas losses, electricity losses, pipeline laying, all of those costs that are associated with the movement of the commodity will come into the blue section down at the bottom. So this is our general profile. There's no CRC, there's climate change levy, a fair band of green levies, and the rest is distribution. So here's the change. The budget changes that were announced in the March 2016 budget announced that the CRC, the carbon reduction commitment scheme, would be scrapped in its entirety on the 1st of April 2019, and it will be replaced by the climate change levy on a revenue neutral basis. Now, a revenue neutral basis means, going back to this slide, that the Exchequer intends to collect exactly the same amount. So this red section here that the larger companies were paying will disappear, and it will be divided amongst all 4 sections. Now, you'll also notice the climate change levy section on top of the industrial and the intense industries are tiny, because these have protections against climate change levy. They're such high users of energy, they don't pay the same levy as we do, so those protections will stay in place. So generally speaking, what will happen is this will be reduced over here, and it will be put on top of the SMEs. So the carbon reduction commitment will be coming our way, resulting in increased prices for us. What that looks like in table form, this is a table that's actually in implementation now. So this has already happened. 2016, you saw changes to the climate change levy to make up the ground for the scrapping of CRC. It goes up 4% a year to 2019, and then there's a big jump. So in graph form, this is what it looks like. There's a gradual increase, 2019, a big increase, and then all the way out to 2025, as gas is brought into line with electricity, there will be further increases. Now, this is a profile of a real organisation. This exists. They're quite large numbers and probably larger than the average SME. But your graph, your profile for your CCL commitment will be exactly this shape. It will be going flat, there'll be a big jump, and it'll be pushing out to 2025. The commodity costs. So that was one half of the good news over. I think you'll start to understand why it's called the graph of doom now. It's a pretty pessimistic story on the non-commodity costs. But let's look at the gas and electric itself. Let's look at the actual commodities. Now, this graph shows 2 things. The blue line is Brent crude. It's the price of oil, and the grey line is the year ahead gas price. Now, what this graph shows is a strong correlation between the two, very, very closely matched, but it also shows a great trend downwards, going from 65, 70 on the left-hand side, all the way down to about 30 on the right-hand side. So the 2 important things there are a strong correlation between oil and gas and a movement downwards. Similarly, there's a very strong correlation between electricity and a 1 year forward gas. So what we've established is that there is a 3-way dependent correlation on gas, electricity and oil, ultimately driven by oil. So the oil price will directly affect what we pay for gas and electricity. So looking at that oil price, we've taken a very long view here, all the way back to 1995, but it gives you an idea of what generally happens in trends of oil prices. And you'll see this section here is very typical, because you have to remember that these the supply of oil is directly controlled, and it's almost designed to be optimized for the price we pay. So supply and production will be limited to help increase this price pressure upwards. So what we've seen in previous times is there's a general price pressure upwards. There'll be some kind of global event, such as the discovery of shale gas or some major event that will correct the market and it will come down. But then again, it will start again. The pressure upwards will be a definite and consistent thing. What you'll see on the right-hand side is we've reached the bottom of that cycle. There have been world events, and this is actually where the shale gas was discovered. We're at the bottom of the cycle. So what we would expect, and almost all industry experts predict that upward pressure will just continue again, as it has done previously. In the mid 2014, Brent crude stood at 110 cents, $110 per barrel, and by January 2016, it was all the way down to $30 a barrel. That's a massive drop. So you get a strong feeling the market wants to correct itself, and as soon as possible, that price is generally expected to come back again. And today, Brent crude is knocking about. It does go up and down slightly, but it's around about the $50 per barrel mark. So it's certainly primed and poised to go back up. So looking at that graph one more time, over here is where we are, and almost all indicators will be expecting there to be an upward movement gradually over a few years, creating a pressure upwards. The upward pressure on oil prices means an upward pressure on gas prices and electricity prices. Brexit is something that's on everybody's mind. This slide is placed just to tell us that we pay a median amount for our gas and electricity. So inside and outside of the EU won't have a tremendous effect on us. There will be some effect on currency fluctuations if the currency doesn't, the pound doesn't stabilise against the dollar. There will be some implications there, but generally, as things stand, Brexit won't have a big impact. So, to sum up, to get a picture of what we think prices are likely to do, we have on the right-hand side, on the red side, indicators that price will go up, and on the left-hand side, price is going down. So if we go one by one and see which way we think they're going to go. So wholesale electricity prices, we've established there's a direct correlation between that and oil prices, and almost universally, oil prices are predicted to go up. So that's a tick, that's likely to go up. Wholesale gas prices, again, there's a three-way correlation, so we can put the tick in that box as well. Oil prices going up, wholesale gas will go up. Climate change levy and the carbon reduction commitment has already happened. It's going to be scrapped. It's going to be scrapped in 2019. The tables have been started. The climate change levy has already started to increase, so that's already happening. And the worst thing, it's going to be borne most heavily by SMEs. That's going up as well. The green levies, in our aspirations to hit all of our green targets, that green section has increased quite a bit in recent years, and it will continue to do so. It's the only way that has been laid out by central government to provide funds to do the big scale projects that enable us to hit our climate change commitments. So the green levies will go up. The last one, network transmissions. Now, this generally does increase. This has a very steady increase as we renew our gas pipe works and we renew our electricity networks. This goes up, but this is set to have a change as we invest in more exotic technologies. There's been lots of talk about the smart grid and having battery backups for solar arrays. Now, all of that network infrastructure will cost money, and it will be the money for that will be obtained from this section of levy, so that it will go up. It's a clean sweep for prices up, I'm afraid, and this is clearly why it was named the graph of doom before. But whereas we ended our journey with a statement from the House of Commons briefing saying that the most reliable way that consumers can reduce their energy bills is through energy efficiency improvements. We ended our journey there last time, but today we're going to talk a bit more about those improvements, how to achieve those improvements in a real practical way. So I'll hand over now to my colleague Marilena, and she'll talk to you about what measures you can employ to reduce your energy consumption.
Thank you, Guy, for the introduction, and thank you all for attending. I will start by something that the Department of Energy and Climate Change said, that on average, a business can reduce its annual energy costs by 20% through improving energy efficiency and energy management. Importantly, becoming more energy efficient does not necessarily mean investing a lot. So to start with, we'll start with some simple measures that don't require any kind of investment and any business can do. So many worthwhile energy saving opportunities have low or no cost. This can be installing or optimizing lighting or heating control systems, changing the way you measure and monitor energy consumption, or how do you engage with your staff to change their behavior. It's not unusual to save 5 to 10% with minimal capital expenditure. The first thing is communication and engagement. So some ways to do that is with posters around workplace to remind your staff to switch off lights and computers, thermometers around showing that the temperature might be quite high, could be quite hot. And then some reminders to close doors when entering unheated areas, or if you take it a bit further up in a slightly larger SMEs, you can appoint energy champions in the workplace. The next step is economic incentives. So, for example, you can give a prize to your staff if energy reduction is achieved in a year. Again, you can use the energy champions in that. So if you have a larger business and there are various teams, so the energy champion can appoint the team that is the best, that didn't leave lights on, didn't leave computers on, and they can get a prize. So you can do a bit of competition between the teams. Then is the policies. Having an environmental policy in the business, then employees will more likely to follow it. Or then policies regarding times of night lighting, policies of turning off lights when the department is about to close for the day. Again, knowledge is power. You know what you're using, and where simple spreadsheets, you can use simple spreadsheets and graphs to measure your energy. So you can, for example, if you take meter readings monthly, and it's advised that you do, you can put this information in a spreadsheet. So, for example, you know that in June, for example, the energy was way too high. Why was that? It could be because you had the aircon on, but it could be that because you left equipment on for no reason. Successful monitoring and targeting can achieve 5 to 25% savings according to the Carbon Trust, and the payback time is instant. Moving to the next slide, and the low-cost measures. So some reasons from NWorks shows that SMEs are missing up to 2.6 billion in a year in potential energy efficiency savings, with nearly 2/5 of these achievable with zero capital investment. A simple way to do that would be with installing lighting sensors. So when there's no one in a room, then the lighting shouldn't be on. So if the staff is likely to forget about it, just put a lighting sensor. It's a really low-cost measure. You can also install timers in equipment like printers or water coolers that can turn off at the end of the day and turn on just before you need them first thing in the morning. Something like insulating your hot water tank, a jacket costs around £20 and will pay for itself in heat savings in a matter of months. Then if you can cover your hot water pipes in insulating material, bought for around £1 a meter from a DIY store, that could also save you money. You can begin with the pipes between your boiler and hot water cylinder. Also, you can fit doors and windows with dropped excluder strips. This can prevent energy wastage. And finally, you can just replace your bulbs with LED as and when they go off. Moving to the next slide, is about medium cost measures. The first one is LED lights. So with LED lights, you can see instant savings with short payback times. The payback from 2 to 5 years, depending on current lighting and the replacement. An example I recently came across, it's a business that they saved over 63,000 kilowatt hours per annum, which translates to 26 tons of carbon and savings of £6,732 per annum, which is half their electricity cost. So it's quite significant. The cost of that was about £27,000. So the payback would be just about 4 years. But the company increased their lighting, so they added more lights and still saved so much money. Then moving to heating, the biggest savings will be if you replace electric heaters with either air source heat pump or gas. An electric heater has an efficiency rating of 1, which means that a 3 kilowatt heater will need 3 kilowatt of input. An air source heat pump may have an efficiency of 4 to 5, which means that to have an output of 4 to 5, the input will be just 1 kilowatt. Gas has higher efficiency too. First of all, it's cheaper than electricity, lower carbon emissions per kilowatt hour, So just this means savings without even considering the efficiency, how much more efficient it is than just electric heaters. Moving to insulation, an uninsulated building won't retain heat, and the heating system will be working to make up for the losses leading to higher energy bills. So it's always a good idea to start with insulating your walls, your roof, and then using double glazing for your windows. That way you won't be heating without a result. Finally, compressed air. A new equipment will have an efficiency of 100%. So if, for example, you have something now with 60% and 3 horsepower, you can even increase the horsepower. You can even increase the strength of the equipment with a higher efficiency of 100% and still see great savings. Finally, something I didn't add to the slide, it's machinery, because that could be a medium and it can be also a kind of high cost measure. The reason I believe it's both is because obviously it might be expensive, but it's what you do. It will help you with your production. So the payback won't just be the savings from energy, but it will be helping you do your work better. Finally, high cost measures. It's mainly renewable, so you can install solar panels on your roof or wind turbines, which is much more expensive, but then this means that you can produce your own electricity. Moving now to Lisa Ricketts, who is the business liaison and delivery manager for Low Case program, who's going to talk to you about how you can pay for all these measures. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for taking time to listen to the webinar today. Thanks, Gary, Mary-Elena, for setting the scene. Hopefully the graph of doom, we can do something to kind of help to mitigate the effects of the graph of doom by helping you to access some funding from Low Case. So what I'm going to do now is to talk you through what Low Case is, what it does, and give you some examples of people we've already helped. And then hopefully you'll see some benefit there and come to us for some support. So as Mary-Elena said, I'm the delivery manager for the Low Case programme. So what is Low Case? It's a project that's running across the whole of the South East Local Enterprise Partnership area. And I'll show you a map in a minute that will give you an idea of the scale of the project. And what we're there to do is to help you to improve your energy efficiency and lower your carbon emissions. And that's for the majority of businesses that we're looking to work with. There are also some businesses out there that are developing new low carbon products and services, and we are trying to help those businesses to grow their business so that when somebody comes along and wants something that's more energy efficient, there's an organisation out there that can supply it to them. We've got grants, they're match funded grants, so we put in some and the business puts in some, so you would put in some. And it will help you to grow your business, save money, be more energy efficient, and lower your carbon emissions. So as I said, this is our delivery area, which is very, very large. Businesses within this area can come to us for support. There are 3 teams that work across the areas. So we have a team in East Sussex. There's a team that works in Kent, and the team that we've just been speaking to, so Gary, Mary-Elena, and there's another colleague called Aaron, covers Essex, and they're the business energy advisors that would come and speak to you in your business if you're located in Essex, Borough or Southend. The project is part funded by the European Union. So we, as partners, and these are the partners on the list here, we got together and said we need to do something about carbon emissions and energy efficiency within our area. We'll come together as a partnership and put together a project and provide grants to businesses. So as you can see, there's some very large county councils on board with our project, as well as some smaller local authorities, unitaries, and the University of Brighton. So University of Brighton are bringing with them kind of a collaboration with universities, knowledge transfer element to our project, just to kind of round it off. So in terms of how the project works, what we're looking at doing is stimulating demand for energy efficiency and then supporting supply. So the first bit is stimulating demand. And what we do in this this side of the project is we will go into a business and conduct an assessment or audit for that business. We'll have a look at your energy bills, we'll have a look at the equipment that you've got, your lighting, your heating, anything that uses energy, and do an assessment for you. We have grants through this part of the project, so we are offering grants between £1,000 and £10,000, depending on the scale and the size of the project that you might have. What we want to do is raise awareness, you know, and increase the uptake of low carbon products and services and the circular economy as a whole, really. So try to encourage people to reuse, recycle, you know, just to help that low carbon and circular economy ethos, really. We're supporting decision makers and customers and people who buy stuff to make low carbon choices. And what we're trying to do is, you know, help businesses to kind of talk the talk, really. So, you know, you're friendly with your neighbours next door in terms of business, your business park, and you're talking to them about what you've done, and hopefully they will see the benefit and come to us as well. Types of energy efficiency projects that we can help with are things like lighting systems, heating systems, equipment, even software. So in terms of software, we've helped lots of businesses to implement 3D CAD systems, which help to improve processes and you know, save money on even wastage and energy use. But also Skype and teleconferencing systems that have been installed in businesses to help to mitigate travel between sites. So they're the kinds of things that, you know, in terms of software we can help with. Supporting supply and transfer of knowledge. So this is the other element of the LOCASE project. This is helping businesses that are in that low carbon environmental goods and services sector. We call them LOCAGE because it's a bit of a mouthful otherwise. And LOCAGE businesses are trying to bring to the market products and services that will help people be more energy efficient and lower their carbon. So what we're trying to do with this part of the project is to, you know, look at consortiums and collaborations and clusters. We're trying to look at supply chain development. So we're looking at doing some meet the buyer events and just bringing together some large organisations and smaller guys just to kind of boost that procurement element of the circular economy, and also working with the universities, local universities, to provide expertise into businesses where it's not available elsewhere, basically. And the types of LOCAGE projects we can help with are business development, marketing. We can help with website development, getting ISO certification and training, and also consultancy with business. So it's quite a broad reaching type of project. And if you are a LOCAGE business as well, as part of your application, you could also include kind of energy efficiency elements in that as well. So it's not just about, you know, your business development. If you had a load of lights that needed changing as well, you could also include that in an application to us. So who can apply? As most grant-funded programs have restrictions, we also have some too. So you have to be a small and medium-sized business, so employ fewer than 250 people, and you've got turnover and balance sheet limits as well, which are shown on screen there, which are quite large. So that really includes, you know, majority of businesses that we actually encounter. We want you to spend all the money that we provide to you within our project area. You need to find, it says 6% of the cost. Ultimately, you will be paying 60% towards the cost of your project, but initially you need to find 100%. We pay in arrears, so you need to find 100% of your project cost, and we will pay you back the 40% or up to 40% that we've agreed at panel that you can have for your project. And there are some restricted sectors as well that we can't help with. There are some state aid regulations that we work with, and there's a de minimis aid limit that we're working with as well. So if you've had more than €200,000 from other grant projects over the past 3 years, there's not much we can do to help you because you'll be over that state aid limit for us. These are the ineligible sectors. So I suppose they're quite diverse, but these are some of the organisations that we can't work with. However, when you're looking down the list, you'll see that we can't help primary production regarding agricultural products, but we have helped businesses that are farms but have a farm shop or a secondary business on that farm, we can help that secondary business because they're not involved in the primary production. So we've helped cafes and farm shops to access funding to improve their heating and lighting systems. The school age education restriction is because there's funding and national funding for education generally. Bank and insurance companies, unfortunately, they're deemed as non-productive, not by us, but by our funders. We can help retail businesses as well. It says not eligible there, but we can help individual retail business, but not kind of those big land investments that might come along with a shopping centre, for instance. So I'm just going to run through what you can expect really when you engage with us. We have a customer journey, and it should be fairly straightforward for you guys and invisible. We make all the kind of the right decisions on your behalf, hopefully. So what we do is we engage with businesses. So we come and meet businesses all the time. We hold our own events. We go to events organised by various organisations such as the Chambers of Commerce and the Federation of Small Businesses, and also lots of other exhibitions that might be out and about. We might be referred businesses from other businesses that have had support or from local authorities. So we work very closely with our colleagues in economic development teams across various local authorities in the South East area, and they will be referring businesses to us all the time to ensure that we can help with grants potentially for them. What happens next is there's a very simple one-page form that needs to be filled in by a business just to ensure that we can check your eligibility so that you're eligible to get support from us. Then there will be an appointment made for you with one of our business energy advisors. So two energy advisors have been on the webinar today. Another chap, Aaron, is actually busy today, so he also could come and visit you. At that assessment, we'll come into your business, we'll have a look at your heating, lighting, anything you want us to look at in terms of energy use, and we can identify different things that you could do in order to save money within your business. We'll generally do your report if it's required and provide that report to you. And then if you want to go ahead with applying for funding, we will help you to apply for funding too. So we have an application form that will be sent to you by your energy advisor, and they will offer to help you to complete it and get you to a panel. And the panels happen on a monthly basis. So every single month we're looking at grant applications, approvals given actually on the day. So the day of the panel, you'd be told whether your application has been successful or not. And to date, we've had 11 panels coming up, and so far nobody's been rejected at panel. This tailored package of support happens kind of under the radar really for you. So we will look at what you need to do, decide whether you're going to be an energy efficiency project, whether you're a low-kex project. If you haven't got really a project that you want help with, but we've got other things that we can support with, so we're running some workshops, and like I say, we've got some other events that we're running. We'll help you out with those. And if there really isn't anything that we can help you with, we will refer you on to other projects. There are lots of other projects out at the moment that have got funding that you might be able to access, and they're not all related to energy efficiency. So there could be other projects out there that you could get help with. The monitoring and reporting bit is the kind of I suppose the less interesting bit, and that's where we have to kind of get lots of papers signed for our funders, but it's a necessary thing that we need to do. So expect to have a few bits of paper to sign when you've had your grant. What I'll do now is I'll just run through some of the projects that we've helped, and we've got some examples of energy efficiency projects and also examples of low-kex projects, and I'll start with energy efficiency. So the first one is an organisation called Chemtron, and they were awarded just over £8,000. We helped them to buy a new piece of equipment, a new machine for their elastomer plant, the department in their business. And that piece of equipment has actually helped them to reduce their carbon emissions by over 9 tonnes. It's saving the business £1,500 a year, just over, but it's also improved their production efficiency by 25%. So, I mean, the benefits of that business mean that they can actually make more products, so sell more products and make more money. So next business here, we've got Ession Acoustics, and they were awarded £2,928. And they make noise control equipment to the power generation industry. And what they wanted was to buy a 3D CAD system, which would help them streamline their design process and develop more energy efficient manufacturing processes. So as you can see, we helped them to reduce their carbon footprint by 0.43 tonnes. We also reduced their waste steel, which they used to use in prototyping, by 80%, and that's a huge amount, so huge cost savings attached to that as well. And they also created 1 job out of the project, because of the efficiencies they were able to make. So the next one on Rossi, some people might recognise Rossi as ice cream manufacturer. So we helped them to apply for support to get a new walk-in freezer chiller put into their facility, their new facility, and to also buy 2 new aging vats for the ice cream. And as you can see, there was a huge reduction in carbon emissions for this business, 53 tonnes, over 3 tonnes of carbon saved, and a massive cost reduction, over £16,000. And again, they managed to create 1 job out of that. So the project has helped them enormously in all sorts of ways. And our final energy efficiency project is a company called Novo Hair, so hairdressing salon in Hockley. They wanted some support to help with upgrading their heating and lighting systems in their salon. And again, we had some really, really good carbon savings from this project, 9.6 tonnes per annum. We also reduced their cost by over £2,500. And the savings will then go further and help them to employ more staff in the future. Oh, no, 1 more energy efficiency project. So Gleneagles Guesthouse, they were awarded nearly £5,000. And what they wanted to, they'd had a programme of energy efficiency measures going on for many, many years, and they were able to access kind of some money from us to finalise their project, really. And they got some LED lighting and sensor controls for their radiators. Again, some really nice carbon savings here, 5 tonnes of carbon, reduced their cost by £1,000 a year. And that equated to about a 3.6-year payback. So that's a pretty good payback on the investment that they made in their business. So for low CEGS projects, so these are businesses in the low carbon sector, sun-dried, fairly new business that are making ethical premium sports clothing. And they wanted some help to employ a consultant, project production manager, and they wanted some social media and awareness marketing for their product, basically. So we were able to help them to bring a new product range to market to ensure that the kind of standards of low carbon production were upheld through that consultant and production manager. They were creating 1 job, and they're obviously growing their awareness and their brand awareness and customer base as a result of that. Surgical Holdings, an organisation in the South End that they repair and manufacture high quality surgical instruments. And what they wanted to do was set up a facility within their site to repair and sort of rework rigid endoscopes. They were actually sending them over to the Netherlands, but they saw an opportunity and thought, right, we can do this work here, but should need some funding to help us with that. So what they managed to do was, with their project, was save £70,000 in outsourcing costs. This is the cost of sending stuff over to the Netherlands to get repaired and sent back. It's helping them to reach new markets. They created 2 new jobs, and they're increasing their revenue stream. So this organisation is a low carbon business because it is recycling and repairing equipment rather than kind of just relying on chucking things away and buying new, basically. Total Lockout were awarded £3,800. What they did was they installed a CAD/CAM system, which enabled them to be more efficient in their design of tools. Total Lockout make a device that locks electric vehicles. So parts within the engine of an electric vehicle could cause shocks to engineers that are working on the vehicle. So they make the locks that actually stop that from happening. And what we're able to do is enable them to be more efficient in their tool design. They're able to share their design files and reduce their mileage to visitors and to customers and suppliers. And they gained access to markets and because of the support we were able to give them. Another organisation called TND Drilling, we awarded £10,000 to, and they wanted funding to help procure a new water pump as their old pump was broken. And what they're having to do was hire a vehicle to move this pump around because it was just too big for their current vehicle. So what they're doing now is they're saving 12,000 litres of diesel in reduced vehicle movements. They are saving red diesel because they've got a more efficient pump. So the water pump uses red diesel and they're being more efficient in that instance. And they're saving money because they don't have to rent a pump and to drag around. They've got their own pump. So looking at some total defrails, we've got a few more that have defrayed by now, but as you can see, we're kind of racking up the numbers in terms of businesses that we're helping. So we've got lots and lots of businesses within our kind of area that we are helping. So you could be one of those businesses. You can come to us for support, and we're very willing and able to kind of help you to access funding. These are our contact details. The main contact detail that really you need to know is business@thurrock.gov.uk and locase.co.uk. So those two first points of call for businesses. If you're in an area that isn't in Essex, South and Thurrock, we would always pass you over to the right delivery team. So that email address is for kind of the Essex area. But the Locase website obviously is for the entire project. We also have Facebook, Twitter, we've got a YouTube account, we use LinkedIn. So please come and find us, follow us, like us. We're always sharing interesting and important pieces of information. So don't miss out on that and come and engage with us on social media. And then we've got a few events that are coming up that I'd like to tell you about. So we've got an event coming up in the South End in July. And it's a networking event for businesses. It's open to all, it's free to attend, and there'll be other organisations that are offering support and funding for your business attending that event as well. So it'll be really worthwhile coming to that. So you can book that via the link, and we'll make sure the slides are available so you don't have to write it down now, so you can see them afterwards. And we've also got some other things that we're doing. So we're an exhibition tomorrow actually in Stansted. We're checking Stansted. We've got a stand there, stand 51. We'll be at Tendring 100 show, which is kind of a country show, but it's got a business element to it. And we've got lots more events planned, so keep an eye out. There'll be an events calendar added to the Locase website in the near future. Or if you want to find out about any events that are happening, just email us and we'll let you know. And that is it from us really. And if there's anyone on the line that wants to ask any questions, we're very happy to kind of take questions. But that's really the end of the presentations from our side. So well, thank you very much for listening. Obviously, this webinar will be published, so you can look back at it again. If you've got any questions or any pressing pieces of information that you would like to know about Locase or any of the other things that we talked about today, please do get in touch and we'll be very happy to answer your questions. So thank you for listening. Goodbye.